Okay, so today's subject is sentences and their functions. So we're going to talk about basically sentences, how they work and how they work in our texts, how we use them. You can see the goal here is you will learn to explore how different messages can be created from different sentence functions. So we need to know what sentence functions are. First, let's have a look at what are sentences for. Like, why do we even need them? So, like it says, when you write, you're probably conscious of the need to write in clear sentences. But it isn't very often that we worry about whether or not we're speaking in them. We also create other perfectly clear forms of communication without sentences in them. For example, lists or revision notes. Like, you don't always have to write sentences for people to understand you. So the question is, can you think of any other forms of clear communication, spoken, written, or multimodal, that do not use sentences? Like, we know we have lists. You can take notes without using sentences. Do you see anything else, like in the media or anywhere else, that you don't use full sentences? Believe it or not, sentences are a pretty recent invention. In medieval times, when was this? Medieval times, middelalderen. Do you know what we're talking about then? We're talking about like 1400 to 1600s. Okay? Yeah. The word sentence only meant a judgment or a decision. It came from the Latin word sentential. What other meaning of the word sentence is still used today, which links with this? Do we still use the word sentence in that way? In the 1600s, Ben Jonson, and you see the picture of this gentleman right next here, Ben Jonson's playwright, meaning he wrote plays. Ben Jonson used the line, "Thou speakest sentences," in one of his plays. Back then, sentences seemed to mean that speaking wisely, with judgment or with good common sense. Only later did sentences, that word sentences, come to be associated with the content of writing. Like, before that, we didn't even think about sentences being an element of writing, and communicating ideas using specific groupings of words that made clear sense to all of us. So this whole concept of using sentences in writing is actually fairly new, and so the sentence function bit is also fairly new. What we're going to do is we're going to use the PowerPoint and look at that. I'm going to use a PowerPoint printout because it's easier to flip back and forth between that and your task page. So you see there's a PowerPoint printout and there's a task page. Right now I'm recording from my planning PowerPoint because I haven't moved it to yours yet, but it will have the same look in yours. So let's look at the PowerPoint printout. I'm going to open it. And we see that sentences and their function, that's our key skills topic number 4. We're going to look at these sentences and you're going to decide what is different about each one. Like, each of these sentences here, they have a different job to do. We call these jobs sentence functions. Like, a function is a job that something does, right? And the sentences are, have we got any homework tonight? Tuesday is homework night. Homework is a total nightmare. Get that homework done now. So 4 different sentences. Now you go to open your task page in OneNote. Okay, so it looks like this. You see the same sentences here. And then we have some key terms. We have statement, a sentence that declares something and presents it as fact or opinion. A command is a sentence that tells us to do something by putting the verb first to emphasize the action. So a command, you will have the verb first at the beginning of the sentence, the main verb. Exclamation is a sentence that expresses an emotion such as shock, anger, joy, surprise. A lot of times that will have an exclamation mark at the end of it. So now you're going to take these sentences and you're going to match them to their correct function. What do you think? Which one of these sentences is just making a statement, presenting something as fact or opinion? Which one is a question? Put that there. Which one gives a command? And which one is making an exclamation? So put the video on pause and sort the sentences. Okay, going back to the PowerPoint. The different sentence functions, they're as follow, like making a statement, asking a question, or making a request, giving a command, and making an exclamation. Like we said before, you sort the sentences into their correct function. This is the task that we just did. Now we're going to read an extract from the novel Junk by Melvin Burgess. The story behind this is that the character, Gemma, here, has been in a disagreement with her parents. So that's the context. Now let me read the extract. I didn't go back that day. In fact, I stayed away all weekend as a protest. Response: banned from going out of the house at weekends. My next plot was to stay until 10 each night during the week. They couldn't keep me off school in the name of discipline, surely. They got around that by my dad picking me up from school. My God, everyone knew what was going on. He actually came into the class to get me. I thought I was going to die of humiliation. Okay, so that's a text extract. Now we're going to work with this. And this is how we're going to do it. What function does each sentence in the extract have? Sort them in the table. Right? Looking at, oops, that was wrong. Looking at your task page. Let's go to that. Here's a text extract. Yeah, I put that in a task page as well. And then you have a table. This table is exactly, like this table right here, is exactly like the table up here. It's just put vertically instead of horizontally. So you sort the sentences here. This is the first one. So what we're going to do is, okay, so let's have a look at the first sentence here. I didn't go back that day. Now what's that? I think this is, I'm copying that one. I'm allowed to do that. I think this is a statement, right? She's presenting a fact, an opinion. So I'm putting that in there. And you move through the text extract in the same way. Like then, go through the next one and the next one, okay? So you sort them in the table. Now, looking at the sentences that you sorted. Like, what do the statements provide for us? Like, what kind of function do they have? What do they give us? Provide for us means, what do they give us? What kind of information do they give us? Who is the question addressed to? Like, there's a question in that text. Who are they asking that question to? And then what tone do the exclamations suggest? Like, what mood is Gemma in? This is a good place to use your discussion groups, actually, if you're at home, like talking about this and talking about it in English. This is a good place to do that. What is the benefit for the writer in being able to use different sentence function? Like, how do they achieve different effects using different sentence function? Okay. Moving on. Okay, so here we have an image. It's part of an ad, a charity campaign, a charity veldedighet. So they're trying to support something called WaterAid. And let's have a look at it. It says, WaterAid, I have less than a minute to convince you to support WaterAid. You see, in that time, dirty water will kill a child like me. £2 a month can give them clean water and could save their life. So, have I convinced you? Okay, so which sentence functions are used to introduce this charity campaign? Which sentence functions are they using here? Can you discuss this and see if you can figure it out what they're using? Can you identify 2 possible purposes this text might have? What's the purpose of this text? What are they trying to do? A purpose is what you want to do with something, right? So can you find 2 different things that they're trying to do with this text? Again, a good place to use your discussion groups. What clues do the sentence function give us? Do they give us any clues as to the purposes? How are they working? Okay, let's move on. And if you discuss this, then we move on to read the rest of the text. If you haven't discussed this yet, stop the video, discuss this before moving on. So let's read the text in the rest of the brochure. Okay. This is the rest of the brochure, right? One child is dying with every minute that passes. That's 2,000 children every single day. Not because of war and disaster, but simply because of dirty water and poor sanitation. Like, looking at this, these sentences, they're really stark statements, like serious, straightforward statements presented to us as facts. So why do you think the writer chose this type of sentence to be the first thing you read inside the leaflet? Discuss. Then the next part of this text inside the leaflet is hard to stomach, isn't it? All right, hard to stomach something means to put up with something, to think it's okay. It's like something, you know, that icky feeling you get in your stomach. Tåle, det er vanskelig å forsone seg med. That's basically what this means. So this is a question. Why would they choose a question here? Like, first they present facts, then they present a question. Now discuss why would they then use a question? Everything in a text like this has been constructed with a specific purpose in mind, right? So why choose a question? What's even more sickening is that all of these deaths could be so easily prevented. Okay, so there's an opinion. This is a statement again. Okay, marked in green here, it says, WaterAid works across the globe with some of the world's poorest people. Every hour we build a new water point, and every hour we help over 100 people to get safe, clean water. And they're using statements. Again, all of these are statements, right? Presented as facts or opinions. So by using more statements here, how is the charity able to communicate more about its work? Like, it's giving us more information, basically. And here comes, in the yellow here, comes some new information, new statements. And all of these sentences in yellow, like these two, they're still statements, but they have a different tone, like a different mood. Can you work out what they're trying to do here? Are these statements like the more formal ones we had earlier? Like, these are very formal statements. They're factual sentences, right? And here's something that's still an opinion, but they're different. It says, but it's still not enough, which is why we need your help. What are they trying to do here? They're appealing to something, right? They're discuss. So if you've discussed this now, you'll probably figure out that they're trying to appeal to your feelings, right? To your emotions. They're giving you information and they're saying, okay, this is how it is. We need your help. And then they back up that with your donations will be used to buy things like cement and bricks for wells and to help communities build pumps. They back it up with more information to kind of validate this, to say why this is important and what your money is going to be used for. So now you are going to apply the skills that we just learned. Like, you just learned some things about different types of sentences. So your task now is to imagine you're heading up an event at your school to raise funds for a local children's charity. Like, to raise funds meaning to raise money, to get some money together for a local children's charity. Compile a one-page informative poster using the key facts on your task page. All right, use all 4 different sentence functions to help your poster meet its purpose and target its audience. Use Word. You can work in pairs. That means both of you, you can create something together. Just make sure both of you have it. You hand in a schooler. I will make a task that's called informational poster, I think. I'll make it clear what it's called in your OneNote. And if you work with someone on this, mark the document with both names. Like, tell me on your document who you worked with, and you both will hand in a document. All right, let's look at the task page and go through this again. Sorry, I just turned it off again. Go back. Let's look at the task page. Okay. It said to make a poster, to make a one-page informative poster. You use Word for this one because it's just easier right now. And you use, again, one page. You can use some pictures to grab attention, but it's the sentences that's the key point of this, right? So the task said to use the key facts on your task page. Compile a one-page informative post using the key facts on your task page, and you're going to use all 4 different sentence functions. This means you are going to use these facts right here. You're given some facts. There are a number of children living in poverty in the local area. Many children have no adequate winter coats or shoes and will not have gifts at Christmas. Your school is going to organize a collection of outgrown clothes, shoes, and toys. You need volunteers to help wash, package, and label the items. The local children's charity is called the Rainbow Group. You need to get items to them. This one could go a little fast, this one. In the next 3 weeks. Okay, so these are your facts. This is your information that you need to put on your poster, but you can't put them on there just as they are. You need to rewrite this information using statements, questions, commands, and exclamations. All right, so some of this information needs to be formulated or written as statements. Some of it needs to be at least one question. I would say at least one command, but then give information, right? Probably most of them will be statements, right? Because you want to give information. And you want to use a question to appeal to the emotions of those who read the poster. You want a command as like, and command doesn't have to be like kommandere. It can be more like what we call in Norwegian oppfordring, right? And an exclamation, something with the exclamation marks, like, oh, something emotional. Like, come here at 6 o'clock in this evening to get more information. That's also an exclamation, right? Something like that. All right. This information, use words. I think for those of you working at home, you're all going to start this and we'll continue working on, like, you will make the first draft of this at home, like your first draft. And then you bring it to school and we'll have a look at it and keep working on it a little bit in school, right? So this means that for at home today, this is specifically for the people who are at home the first day, right? Specifically for you guys, because if you're in school, then we will go through this. If you're at home on the second day, we will have gone through this in school already. But if you're home on Wednesday, use this as a first draft, and we'll look at it on Thursday. Okay. So these are your tasks for this week. I'm available on the chat, and we will answer any questions that you have also on Thursday. Okay. Looking forward to seeing you then. All right.